of SACU Summit and our gracious host, Your Excellency, Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, the Right Honorable Dr. Mokwesi Majoro, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, the Right Honorable Senator Temba Langon, and I practice this. Hlanganiso Masuku, Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Honorable Ipumbushimi, Minister of Finance of the Republic of Namibia, representing His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Peggy O. Serame, Chairperson of the SACU Council of Ministers and Minister of Finance, my immediate boss, and that is immediate. There are bigger bosses, but there is an immediate boss. Honorable Ministers, members of the SACU Council of Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament here present, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials present, distinguished invited guests, private sector representatives, officials of the SACU Secretariat, my team, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dumelang. Botswana is my second home, so I am always happy to show off, even if it's just 2 words or 3. Ke a leboga. Allow me, Your Excellencies, at the onset to thank and express my sincere appreciation to you, Your Excellencies, for having found time in your extremely busy schedule to meet and engage on matters of importance to our Union. I also wish to take this opportunity to extend a word of appreciation and gratitude to our host, the government and people of the Republic of Botswana, for the hospitality extended to us, indeed the excellent hospitality and facilities extended to us since our arrival in this beautiful city of Gaborone, which I consider my second home, and I must say so again. I also thank members of the Council of Ministers for their leadership in the preparation for the 7th Summit of the SACU Heads of State or Government. Your Excellencies will recall that the last time summit was held in this very venue on the 29th of June 2018, just before the outbreak of COVID-19 in late 2019. The pandemic did not only bring about social economic downturns and challenges that have profound implications for our society, but most importantly, it changed the way we operate and conduct our businesses. Operationally, a notable change resulting from COVID-19 pandemic was that all our institutions, meetings have been held virtually. Notwithstanding this, we continue to fully implement our work program with minimal disruptions for the Secretariat. This required substantive investment in information technology, equipment to enable remote working for our staff, as well as engagement with our member states and other stakeholders. The 7th Summit and the meeting of Council that preceded it on the 28th and 29th June are therefore the first meetings of SACU institutions being held in person since the outbreak of COVID-19. And so we are really pleased to see everyone and also just to meet face to face on this occasion. Thanks to the efforts in the rolling out of vaccination programs across the region, our member states are steadily opening their economies. This is critical in the effort towards economic recovery, especially on critical sectors such as tourism, which are affected heavily by the pandemic. We remain hopeful that this will help to regain employment opportunities that were lost at the height of COVID-19 and put our economies in the growth trajectory going forward. Your Excellencies, the 7th Summit will primarily focus on the report from the Council of Ministers on the progress attained towards the implementation of the SACU work program. The summit will also receive a presentation on the SACU strategic plan that has been approved by the Council of Ministers to guide our operations for the next 5 years up to the year 2027. On the work program, the member states have agreed to refocus the SACU work program on industrialization through the development of regional value chains, export and investment promotion. Additionally, we have prioritized financing for industrialization, trade facilitation and logistics, together with the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area as the key focus areas for the SACU work program. This refocused work program is deliberately structured to ultimately position SACU as the manufacturing and innovation hub for the continent, and in doing so, take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Regarding industrialization, SACU seeks to deepen regional economic integration through the development of regional value chains. To guide this work, SACU member states have adopted a vision for industrialization which seeks to, and I quote, build a diversified, competitive, sustainable and equitable industrial base that supports structural transformation and economic integration of the SACU region, end of quote. To attain this vision, priority sectors have been selected based on their potential to benefit the region, the opportunities they present, and their overall contribution to the development. And these are agro-processing, textiles and clothing, cosmetics and essential oils, and pharmaceuticals. We successfully convened roundtables and analysis on these priority sectors, which culminated in a ministerial investment roundtable, the first ever for SACU, held on the 12th and 13th of April 2022 here in Gaborone, in this very same room, to showcase and profile the region's development potential, as well as investment and export opportunities in these sectors. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the area of trade facilitation and logistics, SACU seeks to create a seamless trade environment for cross-border trade and movement of goods. This is being done through the application of innovative and emerging technologies to streamline processes, enhance collaboration, while also detecting and deterring illicit trade in goods within the common customs area. The program is also aimed to address obstacles and hindrances facing businesses that are involved in cross-border trade. Our goal is to develop solutions that are practical, transformational, towards enhanced efficiency, and that will reduce trade-related transaction costs and improve compliance and security of the supply chains, amongst others. The revenue and customs authorities in the SACU region are already working closely to implement a dynamic customs modernization program with a view to achieving some of these objectives. And I must commend the revenue authorities for the work that they are doing, and we are seeing the results already. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA in short, is a major priority for SACU, as it presents the best opportunity for the region to achieve its integration objective at both regional and continental levels. For SACU, the key is to position herself strategically to take full advantage of the export opportunities and ultimately diversify and broaden its industrial capacity to supply the African continent and beyond. Currently, our main priority is the finalization of the rules of origin and tariff offers. Having submitted an initial offer, we are now working to conclude the offer that meets a 90% level of ambition. Your Excellencies, the work we are implementing now represents notable progress and attainable development prospects for our Union. Their successful implementation will create the necessary momentum to further deepen regional integration and stimulate growth. We are grateful that the 7th Summit will have an opportunity today to reflect on the work done so far and provide guidance on advancing our regional agenda. This includes the strategic plan for 5 years for the period 2022 to 2027, whose successful implementation will certainly contribute towards and bring about the much desired structural transformation of the region from a commodity-based economy to that of value addition. Program Director, Your Excellencies, allow me at this point to express my appreciations to His Excellency President Masisi and indeed the entire summit for their leadership and guidance. In the same vein, we are much indebted to our Council of Ministers under the leadership of Honorable Serami for its leadership and the members of Commission for the support provided to the SACU Secretariat in its work. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as this is my last summit, given that my term of office ends in October 2022, I wish to extend my deepest gratitude and appreciation to the summit for the support they have provided and accorded me over the years, and also to the Secretariat to facilitate implementation of your programs. I look forward to your continued support as well to my successor. Finally, I also want to thank my team at the SACU Secretariat for their hard work and dedication in ensuring that the mandate of the Secretariat is delivered to high standards and expectations of our institutions and our people. Team SACU, thank you very much. I further wish to commend all the officials in Botswana and Secretariat who work tirelessly to ensure that all the necessary arrangements are in place for us to convene the 7th SACU Summit successfully. Once again, we appreciate your presence here this morning, Your Excellency, and thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, the Executive Secretary of the SACU Secretariat, Ms. Pauline M. Elago. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege and the honor of introducing once more the SACU Diamond Ensemble as we welcome the statement from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Botswana, Dr. Mokgweetsi Eric Gaborone Masisi. But preceding that, we will have the ensemble first. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to rise as we invite the President of the Republic of Botswana and Chairperson of the Southern African Customs Union Summit, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Eric Gaborone Masisi, as he delivers the official opening statement.
Thank you. Kindly be seated. The Director of Ceremonies, Madam Masidi, Your Excellency President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, the Right Honorable Dr. Mokgweetsi Majoro, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, the Right Honorable Themba Masuku, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Honorable Limpu Shinmi, the Minister of Finance of the Republic of Namibia, standing in for His Excellency Dr. Gengob, Honorable Peggy O. Serame, the Chairperson of the SACU Council of Ministers, the Speaker of the Parliament of Botswana, Honorable Pandu Skedemane, Honorable Ministers, members of the SACU Council, Your Excellency Paulina Mbala Ilago, Executive Secretary of SACU, Honorable Members of Parliament, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished invited guests, members of the SACU Commission and other senior government officials, officials of the SACU Secretariat, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. It is with great honor that I welcome you to the city of Gaborone on the occasion of the 7th Summit of the SACU Heads of State and Government. On behalf of the people of Botswana, we are pleased to host you once again for the SACU Summit, following the 6th Summit that was held on the 29th of June, 2018, right here in Gaborone. I'm pleased that we are able to meet physically, following the restrictions that we all had to implement to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 in the last 2 years. I therefore wish to express my sincere gratitude to members of the summit who are all in attendance today, considering the demands of your respective offices. Your presence here bears testimony to the important role that SACU plays in our nations as a nucleus that binds us geographically and economically. Allow me to, in a special way, welcome the Right Honorable Dr. Mokgweetsi Majoro, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, to his first SACU Summit in this capacity. I do recognize that Prime Minister Majoro is no stranger to SACU, having served as Minister of Finance of the Kingdom of Lesotho before assuming his current role. We therefore look forward to your valuable contribution and hope to tap into your experience on SACU matters. On this note, let me convey our special appreciation to Dr. Mothaosane Thomas Thabane, the former Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho. Dr. Thabane was a member of the SACU Summit until 2020, and his immense contribution is acknowledged too. Excellencies, we're gathered here today for the 7th Summit to deliberate on key issues concerning SACU, with a view to providing the necessary political and strategic guidance to the various institutions on the SACU agenda. We are meeting in the midst of social, economic, and geopolitical challenges at the global level. As such, it is critical that we reflect on these developments as they impact us in different ways at the continental and at the regional levels. For the past 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed our lives. We have seen and experienced dramatic transformation, such that the way we used to do things, pre-COVID era, seems like a bygone era. Within a noticeable short space of time, human lives were lost, livelihoods altered, our economies and cross-border logistics and supply chain management that facilitates the movement of essential supplies disrupted to such magnitudes that the socioeconomic ills that we're battling with were all aggravated by this pandemic. Our governments had to find ways to contain the spread of the coronavirus and ensure that the already limited financial resources adequately service the overstretched public facilities in order to save lives and our economies. You'll certainly recall that the delays in our countries assessing the vaccines and the subsequent challenges on their uptake further hampered our efforts to fight the scourge. While we're slowly getting to normalizing living with COVID-19, we need to reflect on the lessons learned from this pandemic. Key among these is how we can strengthen our collaboration and cooperation as sisterly neighboring countries and trading partners in dealing with similar challenges in the future. In addition to the efforts aimed at reviving our economies, of critical importance is also how we can make our economies to be more resilient when faced with the prospect of similar crises in the future. I must hasten to acknowledge and commend the Secretariat for ensuring that it continued to execute its work and facilitate the meetings of the institutions of SACU, even at the height of the pandemic. This is attributable to the Secretariat having adopted and invested significantly in information and communication technology infrastructure, which enabled the officials at the Secretariat to transition to work virtually without major disruption. This was certainly a good return on our investment. Thank you, Madam ES and team. Guided by our aspiration of regional industrial development, we need to take lessons from what we could have done differently to inform what we do going forward. This will enable us to efficiently harness our limited resources to implement our post-COVID economic recovery plans. As members of a customs union, stronger regulatory and administrative collaboration can only aid us in responding in a coordinated manner to facilitate the seamless movement of goods within the common customs area. It is only through mutual partnerships that our people and traders can derive the maximum benefit from what SACU aims to achieve. Your Excellencies, with regard to developments on the economic front, which impact our economies, you'd be aware that in January 2022, there was some optimism that the global economy would continue the positive trajectory and record a growth of 4.4%, lower than the 6.1% in 2021. However, with the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, growth prospects have now been dimmed and growth is estimated to slow down to 3.6% in 2022. You'll certainly agree with me that the Russia-Ukraine conflict has worsened the already depressed economy due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. This, together with the disruptions of the global supply chains, has resulted in a surge in inflation the world over, including in our region. The surge in inflation, especially for food and energy, remains a present global risk, which is hurting consumers and wearing down their purchasing power. With regard to emerging markets and developing countries, growth projections for 2022 stand at 3.8% compared to 6.8% in 2021, with an improvement forecast in 2023 to 4.4%. In sub-Saharan Africa, growth prospect has been revised downwards to 3.8% for 2022 and 4% for 2023. In relation to trade for the year 2020, global trade was estimated at $22 trillion, representing a contraction from the $25 trillion recorded in 2019. This, however, rebounded in 2021 by more than $6 trillion, reaching $28 trillion and is projected to decline in 2022. For the SACU region, the overall weighted growth is estimated to have contracted by 6.5% in 2020, down from 0.3% in 2019, amid recent growth revisions by member states. Growth is estimated at 4.9% in 2021 and will decline in 2022. We are now at a stage where there is increasing risk for stagflation. This calls for us as a region to undertake counter-cyclical measures to cushion our economies. It further highlights the importance of accelerating the implementation of our economic recovery plans and continue to mobilize the necessary financial support. Your Excellencies, in order for the summit to effectively discharge its mandate, it will be critical that we reflect on progress achieved in the implementation of the resolutions from our last summit. It is only through such introspection that we can ensure that we advance our objectives as espoused under the SACU Agreement of 2002 and ultimately deepen regional integration and economic development. You'll recall that in June 2018, the summit considered progress on the implementation of the work program for the ministerial task teams on trade and industry and on finance, as well as developments on the SACU trade agenda. The work program addressed a number of key focused and fundamental areas of intervention for SACU. Whilst noting the progress made, the summit emphasized the importance of expediting the conclusion of this work so that the results were tangible for the benefit of the region. Additionally, the summit resolved to meet later in 2018 for further strategic engagements on the SACU work program. While this did not materialize due to the need for extensive national consultations that were required, I am elated to note that the various consultations and engagements undertaken by our Council of Ministers since that time have been fruitful. This is particularly so because the work was undertaken in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Council of Ministers and other institutions convened virtually to discharge their responsibilities. And yes, this is where you applaud again. The summit, applaud the ministers for their work. The summit will therefore today consider a report from the Council of Ministers on the refocused work program, as well as the strategic plan for SACU 2022 to 2027. We commend the honorable ministers and their officials in advance for the tireless efforts in developing these key documents. I am reliably informed that the refocused work program reaffirms the decision of the third summit to prioritize industrialization as SACU's overarching objective. This will be attained through 4 distinct priorities, namely, A, the development of regional value chains, investment attraction and export promotion, B, financing for industrialization, C, trade facilitation and logistics, as well as D, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. It is gratifying that the 5 SACU states were able to reach consensus on such critical aspects that will help propel our economies, considering the different levels of economic development. It is my earnest belief that all aspects of the SACU agenda and key frameworks were considered in the formulation of this work program to ensure that its implementation is mutually beneficial and a success. As you may recall, SACU recently successfully hosted its first ever ministerial investment roundtable, as referred to by the ES, on the 12th and 13th April 2022, right here in Gaborone, Botswana, in this room, under the theme, Positioning SACU as an Industrial Investment, Manufacturing and Innovation Hub for the African continent and beyond. The roundtable forms part of the key deliverables in the broader SACU industrialization, export and investment promotion and trade facilitation and logistics program. Equally, we welcome the development of the strategic plan for SACU. This provides a good roadmap and framework for SACU's development and progression over the next 5 years. Through this document, SACU has a plan that outlines the strategic pillars that will inform its actions over the implementation period and responses to the emerging international, continental, and regional opportunities and challenges. It is therefore a critical tool to guide SACU's interventions in achieving its vision and mission, which have been reaffirmed in the strategic plan, as well as our founding objectives contained in the SACU Agreement of 2002. Your Excellencies, as we continue to implement our trade agenda as a bloc, we need to commit ourselves to ensure that SACU fully benefits from the market opportunities created under trade agreements concluded with third parties. This can be achieved by a balance of the different interests and levels of development of the SACU member states in the outcomes. In this regard, it is critical to successfully implement the AfCFTA, EU SADC Economic Partnership Agreement, SACU Mozambique and United Kingdom Economic Partnership Agreement, SACU EFTA Free Trade Agreement, and the SACU Mercosur Preferential Trade Agreement. All these agreements present an opportunity for the SACU region to diversify its exports as well as deepen integration for the economic development of our nations. In addition, while acknowledging that the SACU Agreement of 2002 only focused on trade in goods, it is increasingly becoming evident that for the region to prosper, SACU should also evolve. This requires that we develop and coordinate SACU positions on the emerging trade-related areas such as investment, intellectual property rights, competition, and e-commerce. This will assist us in harnessing opportunities that can accelerate the industrialization process of the SACU economies. On behalf of members of the summit, we look forward to receiving the report from the Council of Ministers for our consideration. Once again, we commend you, honorable ministers, for this laudable achievement. We also acknowledge the excellent work of the Executive Secretary and her team at the Secretariat in Windhoek, Namibia. We thank them for their dedication and usual efficiency in supporting all the institutions of SACU. In conclusion, I wish to reassure you of Botswana's commitment to ensuring the success of this summit and the work beyond. We appreciate the support and cooperation that has been rendered to Botswana during our term as the chair of institutions of SACU. We too, in turn, will equally continue supporting all the initiatives of SACU after our term ends and pledge our loyalty, allegiance, support to the incoming chair and all SACU institutions. Your Excellency, it is now my distinct honor to declare the 7th Summit of the SACU Heads of State and/or Government officially open and wish you successful deliberations. I thank you for your attention and Pula, let it rain.